Hello there, guys. I am the CHALL, and today with Chall will chat that disgusting performance and that shambolic result. We're going to keep very level-headed on this one. We're going to speak about what this could mean, what this might not mean, speak about what happens from here going into the next run of games, where you've got Bradford on the Friday, you've got Notts County on Boxing Day, Mansfield on the 29th, and then you're into January. You know, we're leading into a tough run with the next three games especially. And if you're not on it, you will get found out. But tonight, well, as I'm recording it tonight, I'll be up the day after. Shambolic results, embarrassing performance overall. And, you know, it's not the fact that Morecambe were just outstanding. It's the fact that we were just letting them through. Time after time, you know, it's like Cyndi Lauper, time after time. But please like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to this YouTube video. Obviously, there'll be more content coming out before the Bradford game. We'll have the latest news. We'll speak about the press conference, the pre-match conference ahead of Bradford, what they've been working on. We will release another video today, as of Sunday, the 17th of December, with my reactions to the post-match conference as well. So we are going to do a press conference reaction as well as this reaction here. So we're going to start off with the obvious first of all. We're going to start off with a overall game summary. It was embarrassing. Players can't shy away from that. I think there's only two players in that squad that actually came out of it with some kind of credit, and that's Kulea and Goodman. I think Lawler, De Grucci and Flint come out with it with credit as well because they weren't on the pitch. So they can't take any of the blame because they weren't involved tonight, even though they were on the bench. But so many players have to take responsibility for that performance. Anderson and Olowu at the back, looking at each other on the third goal like a game of Guess Who, like the New Day from WWE. Who? They just had to take responsibility for that one. Jones on the second goal especially has to take responsibility for that one. Or part responsibility with Anderson for that one. But Anderson did block a couple of attempts beforehand and did have to rush back. But then if you look again at that goal and you look at the ball through, and I got a chance to watch that one back, the tracking from the rest of the players inside that box as Mellon was darting, weaving, twisting and turning like a corkscrew spin top, just coming inside. I mean, people said it. I think the Benny Hill music should be coming out, and I think someone else said it as well. It was shades of Cedric Avina, if people remember his performances years ago. But yeah, it was one of those Benny Hill moments where it was a proper like comedy of errors. And I said it on the clip, the tracking back of the rest of the players and the fact that barely anyone tracked back in time to cut that middle gap, which was so open for Mellon to twist and turn into and find a shot. Jones should stretch a little bit more for that one, but he was not helped by his defenders. And apart from the second goal, and I think maybe one of the other ones, I don't really know what Jones could have done else. Look, don't get me wrong. On that goal in the first place, the second one, the start of his position for the attack when the ball came over to Mellon was all over. It needs to be much better than that. But Jones has actually saved us more times than made mistakes this season, so I won't dig him out too much, but he has to take responsibility for that performance. I'm willing to come out and say we're a player that I back every single week makes mistakes. He has to take responsibility for a few of those moments in that game. Still brought out a couple of good saves, but still has to take responsibility. Anderson and Olowu has to take responsibility for that performance. Anderson's 200th appearance, and it was just a shocker overall. He made those couple of good blocks before the second goal went in, and apart from a couple of other moments, I mean, the third goal, it was ball in, Vidal slots it in, Anderson and Olowu looking at each other like it's a game of Cluedo, and it's just Guess Who. I mean, I'm glad the players came over and applauded us. I mean, those that were left. I mean, they were emptying the stand quicker than the aisles at Tesco during a shopping crisis. I mean, it was... it started to become very, very toxic. Not too toxic compared to last year at the moment because of, you know, the performance levels being better than years gone by. But as the stand began to empty more and more and more, when the fifth goal went in, I think most of the stand was just fed up and just had enough of that now. I really want there to be a good atmosphere on Friday, but the atmosphere overall was just shocking. And that's not too strong a word. I don't know what happened with the atmosphere tonight. Tonight as I'm recording this. I don't know what happened with the atmosphere tonight. It was, in my personal opinion, shocking from what I could see from the corner and what I could hear from the corner. I could hear Morecambe more than us. Obviously, I would have loved to have jumped in and sung some chants, but my voice is 50% at best. That's being generous. So it's up to other people to really try. And I know there'll be people in there trying to make an atmosphere, but other people just don't even try. And I'm not going to name names because, you know, it's not for my place to call anyone out about it. But there needs to be some way of improving that atmosphere and speaking with the club to improve the atmosphere going forward on a consistent basis. I know the scoreline didn't help, but even before that, I could barely hear us most of the time before we lost that game. You know, even at 1-0 down, 2-0 down, you still gather your side up, especially after the second half, and you get them ready to go out and try and change this half. And we just didn't. And, you know, we have to take responsibility for that as fans sometimes as well. I know performances, you know, vary a reaction. And, you know, Grant McCann said it in his press conference, which I'll talk more about in the next video. You know, they were right to be booed off. You know, I didn't personally boo, but I know a lot of people around me booed, and they were quite in their right mind to. On this occasion, it deserved a boo after what we saw in terms of our previous home form. Leading into this game, we just can't string a consistent run of results together, and that's been our main problem. Now, the main problem with this game is our midfield. Bailey and Biggins together doesn't work. Biggins is not a holding midfielder. We set up with Hurst as the attacking midfielder, Molyneux out wide with Nixon, Anderson, Olawu and Senior as the kind of back three-ish. At first we looked like they were training as a back four, and then someone said it looked like a back three. And obviously Fallon Ironside up front with Hurst as the more advanced midfielder. But the problem we had was we had no control in that midfield. We didn't have a Ben Close that will control the tempo of the game from the middle of play and dictate the back to front momentum. We didn't have someone like Westbrook who will make those advanced runs and will sit deeper and do other duties as well as making those advanced runs forward and making things tick further forward. We missed Westbrook and Close, definitely, tonight. And there's no denying that. There's no escaping it. We missed them terribly tonight. And Westbrook's probably out now for the rest of the season. Close, bit of a spoiler from the press conference reaction. He should be all right for Friday. You just don't know what happens there between now and Thursday with setbacks and potential setbacks. All depends what happens in training now. And the players will be in tomorrow to digest what happened today. By the time you're watching this, the players will have been into training and watched. Grant said they're not getting the Sunday off, and I love that from my manager. Absolutely love that. So I took some notes from each half, so I'm going to go through them in detail in this video. First up, the first goal. Where was the marking? I think two defenders just gave him a free road. I mean, it was like two defenders just said to Eli King, hey, we're offering a buy one, get one free. You know, you want a free shot, here you go. And it was like an Asda rollover sale. We just gave them an absolute bargain of a chance. And we didn't mark them good enough, and it came into the back post. Slashed across diagonally from one corner to the other, and bang, 1-0 early on. And you're thinking, we could be in for a difficult one, but we can still bring this back. Then what happens? Oh, I'll tell you exactly what happens. The second goal, I said it before, Jones has to take responsibility for that. And Anderson as well. There was a couple of fouls. I mean, the referee, in my opinion, didn't do too badly. I know there was calls for the second goal to have been offside. Managed to have a look back at that one, and yeah, from my angle, it looked. I mean, at first glance, I didn't really think it was offside. I thought it was. I know the liner was behind the run of play, and that's still not acceptable in my opinion. The liner should be keeping up with the run of play, unless he was keeping an eye on a specific man. But the liner should still be in line with play. And for me, I think it was still, we're talking millimetres on side here, but the liner still wasn't up to the run of play, which should be looked at. But yeah, a couple of fouls, a couple of controversial fouls that I thought were 50-50 calls. I think the referee did all right. I think there were a couple of calls that maybe could have been looked at again on another day, but apart from that, I thought she did all right. I know most of the decisions didn't go our way, but we have to be fair in football, and the referee gave it spot on each and every time, pretty much, or most of the time. So I give fair play to that referee. Fair play. And yeah, you go into that second half, and the third goal, like I said, ball in the box, Bedell's there. I said in the preview he was a defender to keep an eye on, proper defender at the back, proper rock, solid defender at the back. And again, Anderson and All were playing a guessing game with Cluedo. Fourth goal, in off the bar. It looked like from my angle, from that far out, it looked like it came off the bar. I'll have a look at that one again. But from first glance, it came under the bar. Marking was awful again. And then the fifth goal, we practically gave that to them with the set piece that started it. So, for me, it's just not your day. When you know it's not your day, it's not your day. It really, really isn't. And yeah, we have to be hanging our heads in shame over that performance. There were actually a couple of players that do get credit out of this game, and that's Tuvonga Kulea and Jack Goodman. Firstly, I'll speak on Kulea, and he had more presence than Molyneux for that game. And we only saw Kulea for a good 20-30 minutes, not even that, something like that. We didn't see him for the majority of the game. Came off the bench and he did more than Molyneux, in my opinion. I think Kulea and Goodman come out of this with their heads held high, and a couple of the younger lads showing people how it's done, and showing some of the senior players how it should be done. And call me crazy, call me insane, call me the Joker, call me the Riddler, but controversially, I'm going to say this: I actually think Kulea and Goodman should be starting on Friday. Now, I know the situation with Bradford, 3,000 plus Bradford fans coming up. Mad Friday, it's going to be a mental atmosphere from the Bradford side. Whether it's from us as well, we'll have to see. But yeah, for me, I think Kulea and Goodman have earned the right to at least be in contention to start, and that's at least in contention. I'll just go back to a couple of them calls from the referee that I think could have been 50-50. I think there was a foul in the 21st minute that was that maybe shouldn't have gone their way. I think that was softer than a pack of Cushell toilet roll. Just soft as usual. And referee bought into it on that occasion, in my opinion. Might have to look at that one again, just to see where she come from. But I think it was 50-50 from what the referee was looking at and where she came from in that decision. But yeah, performance for me, just not good enough. Just absolutely not good enough. So there we go. We're not doing player ratings. We won't do player ratings in these reviews because I'm going to give an overall rating for that performance and then an overall manager rating. Grant McCann gets a 4 from today, and that's being generous. I think the tactics on that perspective were off today, but I know that McCann will do better. This one's on the players today, and the overall squad gets a 1 out of 10, and that's being generous. The 1's just for turning up today and being there. That's just where I stand. 1 out of 10 today for the squad, and a 4 for Grant McCann, because at least he was fuming. At least he had some passion. At least he tried to show he cared. A couple of the youngsters showed as well, but yeah. And I know it's frustrating for some of them players. I know Mo Fowle's frustrated. I know that Owen Bailey's frustrated. Luke Molyneux's frustrated. I know some of those. I know the majority of that squad will be frustrated with that, and I know they'll try and come good at some point. But we've got to digest this performance. Look at where we went wrong. Going to train straight away on Sunday and Monday, and go straight back into it, and get back to the drawing board and do what's needed to get something out of Bradford, because they're an in-form team. So speaking of Bradford, that is the next game. on my Friday. Yeah, that one's going to be very difficult. They're in form at the minute. They beat Gillingham 2-0 this week. Graham Alexander's really turned that situation around there from where they were under Mark Hughes. And you know what? I just want to say this, right? Teams like us, teams like Bradford, teams like Grimsby, we're going to need time to build what we need to build. Graham Alexander is building on the foundation set by Mark Hughes. Yes, it hasn't been a great season for Bradford, as expected after the playoff finish last year, but Alexander is building from Hughes' foundations, and he built a very Graham Alexander team, in my opinion, and I'm sure Bradford fans' opinions as well. Grimsby, they've got David Artell, who works with youth, works with experience. He's a very project manager. He's going to need a couple of years at least to get that squad to where it needs to be and get them pushing towards the top end of the table. And then you look at teams who are at the top end now. Teams like Stockport, who've had a few years together. Barrow, who've had a few years together. I know Notts County's not in the best of form right now, but they've had a few years together. Crewe have utilised their youth system brilliantly again, and they're getting players through that are starting week in, week out, and they're pushing upwards again. Mansfield have had a few years together under Nigel Clough. What's the common denominator? Patience and time. And I said this on social media this evening in terms of Saturday, not when you're watching this video. Patience and time. That's what's key here to the fundamentals of how these teams work. Patience and time. And of course, investment. We know that investment and recruitment is just crucial to any club's development. But patience and time is also required. Is this result shocking, disgusting, everything you can think of? Absolutely, and I think the players will know that. I think compared to other groups of players, I mean, look at the difference in manager reactions we've had in past seasons gone by. In past seasons gone by, we've had manager interviews after games where we've been demolished in terms of result or performance or both, and they try and spin it on some fake positivity. Grant McCann is a no BS manager. He will say it how it is. He said it in the press conference. I'll talk more about it in that video. We deserved to get booed off that pitch. It was undefensible. It was shambolic. It was embarrassing. It was every name you could think of. McCann takes no BS. He doesn't hide away from it. And the players will be in training tomorrow, looking at that performance, looking at what they did wrong. And if they don't get a reaction out of that on Friday, then some of the mindsets of these players need to be questioned, in my opinion. If they can't look at a performance like today, they work at it in training and they can't right those wrongs depending on what happens with Bradford's side of it. If Bradford are poor, but we don't pounce on that and we don't right the wrongs of today in terms of this weekend, then what have we actually learned from that performance? And again, this is what Grant McCann means by we need consistency. We need a 3-4-5 winning game run. And to do that, we need consistency, and we don't seem to be getting that right now. And I think he needs, in my opinion, at least 2 more, maybe 3 windows to get what he needs. And it's up to the club to do what they did, in my opinion, in the summer and back him. People saying on social media after the game tonight, we brought all these players in, but it doesn't mean the club backed him with money. It doesn't matter how much money you've got. As long as you bring in the right profile of player for the manager to work with, and the right people for the manager to work with, let's not start slagging off National League players all of a sudden, because players like Owen Bailey, players like Jack Senior have earned the right to play at this level. People like Owen Bailey have been Mr. Consistent all season. Jack Senior is just coming back into the fold and working his way back. He's still got that potential in him as long as he's in the right position, as long as he's playing his football and getting back to full fitness 100%. And he's doing that. He's trying to get back there. It's not quite worked out tonight. It's still an embarrassing result. I'm not going to shy away from that. But the reason why I'm not overreacting is because I'm not saying we should expect results like this, but what I am saying is we may see performances that don't reflect on what we're trying to build, and it's part of the evil that we're trying to erase from this devilish world, if you get my talk, in Hades talk. McCann's trying to squeeze out that little bit, that big extra little bit of negativity within our club, within our football team, within our morale, and he's trying to squeeze every bit of it out so we can inject some new positivity long term. And it is going to work. We just have to give him time. If the club don't back him in January, then fair enough. I'll look at February and we've made barely any signings and we've let a couple of people go back and say, what the hell have we done wrong here? But if he has been backed in January and I look in February and look at the signings that we've made and think, right, they are good enough to move the club forward. Could we get into playoffs this year? No. That's me being realistic, not negative. But I still think the club will do more going into next summer and the summer after that. It could take 2 or 3 years, but the payoff will be worth it if we give this man patience and time. And we know the fan base will back Grant McCann and the players. We know they will. It's just results like this will bring out the reaction in the fan base. And the reaction's not from nowhere. It's from the last couple of years of negativity, the last 2 years of lack of care, it feels like, to a certain extent. So the fans are right within their right to react, but I think this is different with McCann in charge. And one thing I'll always say, and one thing I've always said, McCann is building the foundations himself this time. He's not sprinkling magic on Fergie's foundations. He's building the foundations itself. And it took the year to sprinkle the trophy dust, or sprinkle the potential promotion dust that we eventually missed out on. So, for me, with McCann and with Byrne and with the rest of the staff, we've got to give them patience. We've got to give them time. But there's no shying away from it. McCann will come out and say it as well. It was a shambolic performance. It was embarrassing. We deserve to get booed off that pitch tonight. Today's the one exception where you are right to boo those players off because they didn't give a performance worthy of staying on that pitch. And it's going to be very much a selection headache because a couple of those younger players are really pushing to start on Friday. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gives 1 or 2 of them the chance. If he was to be ruthless with some of these senior players. It's all about what happens in training. It's all about what happens from here on in. There we go, guys. Thank you very, very much. I am the CHALL. We'll see you for the post-match conference reaction. Ta-ra for now.